Hello, Professor, and how are you today?
Radiant, Dr. N. Radiant, and you?
Blooming, thank you.
It makes a change for us to have each come a different way today.
Yes, it does. How was your hot date with the three busty supermodels from your science class?
It was so-so. After a night of partying, I found out two of them only wanted me for my body, like their sisters 2 nights before. So they all went home unsatisfied. I like a good party like the next man, and I like to be around beautiful women, but I am a Christian and that must count for something.
Yes. I bet there might have been some who, hearing our conversations, might have judged you and considered you were going to have some rumpy-pumpy with your students from the university, having threesomes and all that.
Yes, dirty-minded blighters.
You said you had found some more evidence of Bible prophecy. I'm keen to know what else you found out.
Yes. Once again, this is a prophecy that was written before the life of Jesus Christ and must be before 250 BC, as it is in the Septuagint. Jeremiah 26. The prophet Jeremiah quoted another prophet in verse 18 called Micah, who said Jerusalem would be rubble, Zion like a cloud, and the Temple Mount would be a high place.
Yes, it is a picture of Jerusalem today.
But I don't understand how it can be modern-day Jerusalem when it was destroyed many times in the past before.
Yes, it has been destroyed many times in the past. But once again you must look for the full picture when each time it was destroyed was Zion made a plowed field. We can see over time that this was fulfilled, and what we see today is the fulfillment of the prophecy 2,000 years on.
So it was fulfilled, and what we see today are as of the results of the fulfillment.
Yes. Zion was the most populated areas in Jerusalem in the time of Jeremiah the prophet.
And Micah was the one who said the Messiah was to come from Bethlehem.
Yes. In ancient times, if a city was laid waste by war or natural disaster, they would often use the rubble to become the foundation of the next build. So Zion was lower than the Temple Mount, but soon became raised higher. It was one of the most heavily populated places in Israel and Jerusalem. So it eventually became the highest point in the old city. In 135 BC, Simon Maccabees ordered Zion to be leveled, as it meant the Temple Mount would be under strategic threat should it be invaded again. So after 3 years of digging and rebuilding, Zion was lower than then the Temple Mount, making the temple the highest point in the city.
So that part was fulfilled as Micah and Jeremiah said after 135 BC. That was when the Temple Mount became the highest place again since the time of David.
Yes, that is right. Zion was growing higher up until that point in time. God was foretelling that it would reverse in a future time.
So if Zion was the populated part of the old city, when did it become a plowed field?
In the AD 60s, there Jews began to rebel against the Roman occupation. After a few victorious battles by the rebels, the Romans got the upper hand and in AD 70 sacked Jerusalem and destroyed the temple in a fire, just as Jesus foretold in Matthew chapter 24. Within 25 years there was not one stone left on another of the temple due to the amount of gold which had melted into the rocks and was stripped clean, leaving not one stone unturned by the gold hunters, as Jesus said would happen. But after AD 70, the Romans still wanted a city in Israel to govern the province from, so they rebuilt the city walls. But they did not build around Zion. They reduced the city perimeters, and Zion was outside of the city limits. Not having a defensive wall anymore, the surviving population left, and eventually Zion was used for agricultural purposes. This is recorded by historians like Josephus. Even today, Mount Zion still stands outside of the old city and not very much developed at all.
So by the end of the 1st century AD this prophecy was fulfilled completely. And what does this have to do exactly with biblical interpretation? King James onlyism and other groups that fall into the category that could be called the cults.
It shows that God fulfilled the prophecies of the Old Testament on a literal basis. He was not talking about city in Spain or a pond in France. When he said Zion, he meant Zion. There was no mistake or attempts to snake around the issues. And it gives us faith to believe in his word if you read the NOSB, NIV or the King James Bible.
Wow, God is loyal to his words that he inspired through the Hebrew prophets.
Yes, he is. It is another reason why one can't rely on the quotes from those with cultic mindsets, like the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses and some King James onlyists do. Because we can see from scriptures that predict events like this, that God had a literal plan in mind, and when interpreting a verse as a prophetic verse and a fulfillment of prophecy, there should be a clear pointer to the fulfilled evidence. You can say I believe something on faith and that there's nothing wrong in that, but it is a personal thing. And to accuse someone of sinning against God just because they do not accept a thing you do on faith alone is not good conduct from a Christian.
Yes, I think some KJV onlyists get tarnished by the same brush because of some clear and strong cultic attitudes of other KJV onlyists. But because they can't always deny what that extreme KJV onlyist is saying in general, they are happy to allow that cultist to go unchallenged as they agree with most of what they say.
Indeed, I have had Trinitarian King James onlyists oppose me even when I have disputed the KJV onlyist position of oneness heretics, because they must defend the KJV only position above that of their understanding of who God is. They have even used Islamic arguments against the reliability of the Bible against my teaching.
So don't they see that as hypocrisy?
If it came to defending the King James Bible-only position against a non-King James exclusive position, they would side happily with cultists to do it if they agreed with the KJV-only position. The KJV must be upheld at all costs, and that is just one example of the cultic nature within the KJV-onlyist movement.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend thinking. Anyway, I must go, I have a train to catch.
Going somewhere nice?
Yes, I am going to Gretna Green.
You going to your wedding?
Yes, mine. Not all of those busty supermodels just want me for my body. The third wants me for my mind as well, and that I am a man of faith. She is a mature student, older than she looks and not a teenager like the others, and a Christian. So we are off to Scotland to tie the knot today so we can enjoy some rumpy-pumpy as husband and wife the way God intended it to be.
Amen to that, brother.
Yes, and she has transferred colleges so there is not conflict of interests there either.
Good, because the cultist would have used their wrong thinking against you for that.
Yes, dirty-minded judgmental blighters. Anyway, I must go. Catch you after the honeymoon.